UFC featherweight, Steve Garcia. Thank you for joining me today. How's life right now?
It's good, tiring, putting in the work, trying to give you guys a show, all the good stuff.
Definitely,
So,
definitely. Now, the pandemic is going on. The end doesn't seem near, but what kind of adjustments have you made, throughout the last few months just in your daily life because of what's going on in the world?
honestly, I didn't do like a ton of stuff. Like obviously, a lot of the places were closed. Here in Albuquerque in New Mexico, it was kind of like that. And then when things kind of started back up, the gym was fairly normal, smaller groups, that type of thing, small adjustments. But I still have my training partners. We didn't really have any issues really until like honestly recently. One of our teammates tested positive for COVID, so we actually ended up having to shut the whole gym down. And then you couldn't return until we had testing that came back negative and stuff. So um, I make sure that I have like the teammates that I do usually have. I have my main one, and then from here everything is just all a lot of just weight cutting and stuff like that. Um, there's not much more you really learn 2 or 3 weeks before a fight. I mean, there might be one or two things you want to like maybe rep. You know what I mean? You rep those and stuff, but yeah, man, it's been kind of wild. I mean, I've had a time like I bought a house, I renovated the whole entire house, and then I just had my son 2 months ago. So big things happened during the COVID period. It's obviously still going on, but we're managing and we're planning on going out August 8th, I think, and put on a hell of a performance.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the newborn baby. And man, you've been busy, man. You bought a house, renovated a house, you've had a kid. I don't know anybody busier than that right now.
Hey man, I honestly it's been pretty wild. And then I had my brother and my mother-in-law moved in with me, partially due to COVID. So I mean, it's just been a full house in my fam in my house, which I'm happy that we bought them in the house at the right time, and I can house my family that need it. So it's a blessing for sure. God's blessed me for sure.
No doubt, man. Well, speaking of blessings, you got to make your UFC debut earlier this year in Norfolk. It was at 155. You took on Luis Pena, 5 days notice. Not the ideal way to, enter the UFC. Looking back at it, how hectic was that week, man?
Oh, it was insane. It was wild. And then like making sure that you're still able to fight, because you have to get cleared by USADA, to be able to even compete. So I got the call like on a Monday around like 12 or 1. I ran to I mean, obviously, we talked about it. Like, hey, you want to fight Luis Penny? I'm like, sure. I was like, but where, what, we'll wait because he was a 45er and it was, at 55 now. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not far away. And we agreed on the fight. That day, it was just like one mid session to see how I felt because I hadn't really trained hard for like a fight camp, but I've been kind of training. And then from that point on, it was just like medicals and like making sure that I was eligible just to even compete. So yeah, we did that Monday, flew Tuesday, flew all day Tuesday because I had some flight issues, but we got there like 12 in the morning Tuesday. Wednesday, I was making sure that I did everything they required me to do with USADA and et cetera, et cetera. And Thursday, I finally was able to kind of maybe get a little bit of a workout in, and then we just cut weight and made weight on Friday. It was an easy cut. So went in there. We try to put on the performance that we could, with the given time, and I didn't step walk away with a win, which I really was not happy about. But um, I was supposed to get starched. Like people had me like really really getting really hurt. You know what I mean? So I'm like, now I'm gonna give it hell for 15 minutes. I don't care if he's on my back. I don't care if it's standing. I had nothing to lose. So I just went out there and I would try to go for broke. Really, that's not normally my strategy of fighting, but I did that, and I think I got a lot of people's respect from it. But I'm not happy that I got a zero from a loss. So This one, I feel like it's truly my UFC debut.
Is that the bright point from that fight against Luis Pena? Like you kind of proved some people wrong, like because like you said, people are really underestimating you coming in on 5 days.
I mean, yeah, I guess you could say that's the best takeaway. Um, and I'm in the UFC now. You know what I mean? I've been striving so hard to get here, 13 years in the making, and we finally got here. You know what I mean? And sometimes you got to take, the sacrifices and opportunity opens. It presents itself. You just got to walk through the door, and that's just what we did. And I was able to really um, just kind of like shock everybody. It's like, oh, Stu, like Steve really can, come and, fight, and he comes with everything he has. So I can't wait to show it actually, for this upcoming fight.
Yeah, definitely an opportunity that you took. Some guys wouldn't have. I don't think they would have took the fight on 5 days with the circumstances that you were under. Because and also you're lined up to fight at LFA, and that fight, that whole card got canceled. So you're like looking back, like, hey man, I made the right decision right there.
I had to, man, and
Mm-hmm.
they were actually going to scrap that fight because nobody wanted to take that fight against Pena. Like that's a tough fight to take on a 5 day notice, especially against someone like of his caliber and his notoriety. But for me, I'm not scared. If I can make the weight and everything like that, like I'll pretty much fight anybody. It doesn't really bother me. Um, Now that I'm in the UCA, you definitely got to be a little bit smarter. You don't want to take too many, short notice stuff. You want to make sure you're prepared because, you don't want to run out, a fight on your contract and it not look very good. So,
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm smart. I have my camps for the fights, and I think it'll definitely pay off for my career, and I think fans will absolutely love that too.
Now your second trip, into the octagon, Peter Barrett. What are your thoughts on him?
Um, he's gonna get beat. That's all I got. I can really say. Like I'm very confident. He's. I don't think he's fought anybody up to my caliber. I've fought many different people. I fought world champions. Uh, Even his fight in the contender series, I think he fought a guy that was like 4 or 5-0. And I'm not trying to take anything away from for the win because he honestly got his butt kicked for, a good round and a half. And luckily he had a gas tank and he was able to kind of just like weather the storm. And that's kind of where he really shines is like in the second and third round. He's not a quick starter. So um, I just don't, I've done my homework and, my coaches and everybody, we've all come up with a game plan and it's going to be a great night for me. I just kind of feel like they've really capitalized on his story because he has a really hardcore story, and I feel for the guy as far as that goes. Um, but that this is a fight, man. This is you're getting in the cage when you sign the dotted line to fight me. It's gonna be brutal for you, man. Like it's not gonna be a fun fight for you. It's just not. We can go in there, we can put on a performer or that put on a show, but it's gonna be my show. It's not gonna be his show. Um, and we'll see what happens from that point on. I just got to stay focused with this guy because um, anything can happen in these fights. You know what I mean? There's been some crazy fights happening these past couple of weeks, and they're crazy. And you think one person's winning, and it the tide changes. And yeah, I just don't want to be that fight. I don't want to be that fighter. This is gonna go my way. I'm gonna make sure it goes my way, and get my hand raised that night, and then I'll go from there. I obviously have future plans, but this is my immediate plan. This is my current plan. Um, I can't wait.
So you're thinking like I need to have a dominant performance. I need to get a finish. I don't want to get one of those fight of the nights. I don't want it to be competitive, basically.
I'll take whatever. Like
Mm,
I've never shied away from a gunfight. I never
mm,
have, and that probably could work against me. It has worked against me. Um, but I mean, as a spectator, because I was a fan before I really started getting heavy into competing, and man, everybody loved those fights. With freaking like Fulton and Bonner and stuff like
mm.
those are the fights that people just remember. You know what I mean? I want to be remembered by the people. Like they're the reasons why we do that. You know what I mean? And like even though like I have a family to provide for, and I will do anything to make sure that they're covered. these fans right here, I just want them to be happy, to be excited, and know that like, man, Steve Garcia's on the card. Like, when you're looking through the card, you're looking for the upcoming fights. At least that's what I do. I go through like the upcoming fights and I scroll, and I go down to like the main card and the prelims, and I make sure that like the prelims are good. Because if not, like I'm just gonna wait for the main card. You know what I mean? And I want to be that guy that's gonna build his way up from the prelims all the way into the main card, and they're just gonna be very, very tuned in to my bouts, and that's one of my goals.
What do you think separates you from Peter Barrett?
One, I think that I'm technically way more sound. Like he's very scrappy. His biggest attribute is he's just tough. He's so tough. So I know he's gonna be tough to put away. It's just gonna take time, and I understand that. There's no reason to rush this fight. If he gets clipped early, he gets clipped early. But um, I'm prepared for three hard 5 minute rounds. And honestly, I've been going harder in the gym. We go 5 to 7 just to make sure that we have the tank. But I just don't see him really, really capitalizing on anything else around here, around my skill set, that it's just much better. Like he's got some decent, cage work. He's got some decent ground and pound. He likes to utilize his elbows and stuff. So I'm aware of all those things, but if I focus on how I fight, man, it's gonna go great for me. So it's really gonna be who really can come in there and just be tougher, better, stronger, faster, um, et cetera, et cetera. And we're gonna go out there and prove that I'm the guy that's gonna be the better man.
Yeah, nothing, is guaranteed, right? But how do you visualize getting your first win in the UFC octagon?
Honestly, like I've visualized it, many different ways. I just don't know if, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, just I just don't know if he can take the damage that I'm gonna give out. You know what I mean? Um, I can see him starting to crumble by the second, and if he's finished, he's finished at that point. It doesn't matter. I'm always gonna go for the finish. I'm not a big fan of decisions. You can't leave it in the hands of the judges right now, and until we have a better scoring system, I'll go for broke before I try to let it go into the hands of the judges. Um, so that's kind of how I have to view this. But yeah, I see a finish for sure.
Have you been noticing that in these cards that some of the judging has been suspect, like some weird scores? Have you noticed it?
Yeah, the worst one that like hurt me was Max Holloway against Volkanovski.
Mm.
Like,
Mm.
and like I'm not trying to take anything from any of the people that have got wrong by the decisions, but that one's stuck out to me probably the most because I feel like Max did such a good job, especially 1 through 3, and Volkanovski obviously won 4 and 5, but Max had dropped, like he dropped him like I think twice, one in each round,
Yeah.
and the fact that it did. I don't know if that really counted. It was just like, oh, you won the round, or you're like, bro, like you hurt him in the first and second round. You know what I mean? Because I didn't really see Max Holloway really hurt in the fourth and fifth. So the judging is just not as accurate as it needs to be, and everybody knows that. It sucks that nobody's willing to like really, really like do something about it. It really just irritates me, but um, I just don't think everybody knows how to handle it. And then if it gets handled, like who's to say like this is better than the other martial arts? So it's honestly not a fun position to be in,
Yeah.
But in my spot, I gotta finish.
All right, man. Well, you got me excited for this matchup on August 8th, UFC Fight Night in Las Vegas at the Apex. Thank you so much, Steve, for the time, and enjoy the fight and be safe, man.